Hey, welcome into the Big Ten Huddle. I'm your host, JR. That is Zach. We are hosted and brought to you by FanDuel. Appreciate you being here. Like, subscribe, do all that good stuff for us here on the channel. We definitely appreciate it. As Zach and I have a number of news items to get into. A little bit shorter show tonight. We're not going to do two shows in one. Got some special stuff cooked up for tomorrow in the podcast there. If you're here with us on YouTube Live, we appreciate it. And I'm going to turn it over to the guy who definitely would be more likely to give a Fernando Mendoza speech if he wins the Heisman rather than a Diego Pavia hissy fit if he didn't win the Heisman. Right, Zach?
Listen, I don't know why Diego Pavia is still in college football, but get him out. It's time to be done. Go find a 9-to-5, learn how to be a man.
Well, he says he's done. So
LOL.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much I can trust that.
Yeah. All I know is Fernando Mendoza is my Heisman.
Fernando Mendoza will forever be my Heisman. What'd you think of that speech? That speech was incredible.
Dude, he's awesome. I felt like it rivaled the Joe Burrow speech, but like very much themselves. Like he's quirky. But he was so thoughtful. You could tell that it meant a lot to him. It was great. Like he is everything the Heisman is supposed to be about.
Yes.
Which is just such a stark contrast to Diego Pavia. And I can't believe we have cared this much about some guy that went to Vandy who does not represent Vanderbilt well at all. And
yeah, it really makes me question Clark Lee as a coach. All the things I'm being 100% serious. I question. I question Clark Lee and like his management of his team and like what he allows. Like Pavia was a big part of that team. Obviously he's a talented player. You don't get to be second in the Heisman without being a very talented player, but it makes me question Clark Lee a lot as a coach that he allows that kind of stuff. Obviously, Pavia in his personal life, he can do whatever he wants, but at a certain point, if you're the head coach, you got to be like, dude, come on, let's represent the university a little bit better than this.
To be fair, a lot of people would have said the same thing about Dennis Rodman, but Michael Jordan was like, you can do whatever you want, but you better show up and you better perform. Which I'm not.
Yeah, it's a little different if you have Michael Jordan on your team.
Right. That's the difference. When Diego Pavia is your Michael Jordan, which is a really bad comparison, but like you know what I mean.
It's a comparison you just made.
Well, I mean that in the sense like when he's your star, when he's the face of your program. Dennis Rodman was a sideshow. Michael Jordan was the face. Diego Pavia is a sideshow and the face at the same time, and it's alarming.
Yeah. Max bringing up the sideshow says Diego Pavia buying a sign that says F Indiana, what a sore loser. Yeah, I mean that, and then the Instagram story with, my favorite thing now is all the voters coming out and like releasing like who they voted for. All of them are like, yeah, and I put Pavia at 1, and I shouldn't have done that. All of them. I'm like, yes, we have all seen this. Are you like, you're a media person, you're supposed to be able to see this stuff, but we've all seen this, and all of us were like, do not vote him number 1, and yet we have people from CBS and all these other places voting Pavia number 1, and they're like, yeah, that was a bad choice.
Yeah, this is I often am amazed. Like we've said this many times, this is not our full-time job. Mm-hmm. How is it full-time media members can't see this? What are they doing?
I don't know.
I don't even cover the SEC.
Pavia to the SEC network. I would love to see a panel with Diego Pavia and Tim Tebow on the same panel.
Oh my goodness, that would be.
I might actually watch the SEC network now.
that would be like yin and yang right there. Like that's insane.
Billy Tuesday says he's at minute 14 of his 15 minutes. Pavia is, his stardom is not going to last much longer. So Doc is here. Hello, friends. Hello, Doc. Appreciate you being here. And I tweeted this out today. Gronowski beating Pavia would be the greatest thing. I want Gronowski to outplay Pavia. Like, could you imagine the amount of SEC mind explosion if you get Gronowski outplaying Pavia in that bowl game?
I hope it would be the greatest thing if Kirk Ferentz runs up the score on Vandy, and then Ferentz is like, "Get out of my face!" Like I've been everybody knows my opinion on Kirk Ferentz, but this is the one time where I'm like, I am cheering so freaking hard for him to just destroy the Commodores. Put them back, put the whole team back in their place. I'm tired of them thinking they're all that because they went 10-2 in a mid-conference.
Zach coming in hot tonight.
If
you're not aware, Kirk Ferentz is not Zach's Michael Jordan. Just want to make that clear. That's what he was referring to there. So, all right, Zach, we have business to get to tonight. Are you ready for the business to get to?
This is the business I'm about. Zach is still planning the Ferentz retirement parade. Thank you, Philip. Thank you for remembering. Philip never forgets.
First order of business, like and subscribe. Mentioned it at the beginning. Please do it again. We are continuing to try and ask for more likes because I continue to get the messages on YouTube. Very hurtful messages, YouTube, by the way, saying you aren't getting enough likes. Well, YouTube, maybe if you highlighted the button or made it a little bit bigger, that would help. But yes, please do like the video. YouTube continues to tell us that we do not get enough likes. Something that Maryland fans will definitely like. Zach, Malik Washington is coming back to Maryland in 2026. He has announced. The Maryland quarterback, Malik Washington, set the team's freshman passing record this fall, and he will return to the Terrapins in 2026. He set the record for passing yards, 2,963, and completions, 273 this season, while connecting for 17 touchdown passes. He reached 200 passing yards in all but one game and finished as just the second Big Ten freshman since 1996 to record at least 2,500 passing yards, at least 300 rushing yards. Malik Washington was quoted in saying, "Representing this team, this area means so much to me and my family. This is home, and we're going to continue keeping the best athletes from this area here with the Terps. I believe in everyone in our facility, and I know we're building something that fans will be excited about for years to come." Zach, my question to you, how big is this return, keep, whatever you want to call it, for Maryland coming up next year?
I mean, it's the thing that's keeping Mike Locksley employed. So, I mean, it's huge.
Oh, you just jumped straight to my next question. Thank you. I'm just joking with you. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, it's hard when Philip is telegraphing the Fire Locksley segment.
Philip knows us too well at this point. Philip,
I know.
He watches every show. We appreciate you, Philip. You're awesome.
But in all seriousness, Malik, like this, we've been saying it all fall. The reason why you keep Locksley is to keep this young core of talent. Sidney Stewart, Malik Washington. I always forget the other guy's name. And there's the other freshman. I can't remember his name. I'll remember it at 1 a.m. today, tomorrow morning. But not only that, but you have a pretty good recruiting class with some elite recruits coming as well. You've got the number one edge player in the country coming to Maryland. And so you've got to keep momentum by keeping, again, the face of your program at your school. And it does several things. One is it builds momentum recruiting for you. But how much have we talked about the DMV when it comes to teams like Penn State, when it comes to teams like Rutgers, like other teams in the Big Ten? Like obviously Penn State is a level above Rutgers, but the DMV is a very important area to recruit. And as much as it's important for Maryland to have a stranglehold on the DMV for their own team, it's also important for them to keep the best players home from teams that they want to ascend to their level, right? Penn State's in a period of transition. I'm not saying that Maryland's going to be on the same level next year, but they do get Penn State at home. And now you're selling to recruits, hey, you could either go to a program in transition, or you can come here where we are assembling the best team in the DMV area.
Very true. Philip is saying I have a small echo. So Zach, if you want to try to mute yourself while I'm talking, see if that helps. Let us know, Philip, if that helps moving forward. Not sure what that is, but we'll try to fix it on the fly and address it later. I think it sounds better now, so we'll just keep doing that. Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. The DMV is such an important area. I don't think the DMV can supply as many teams. It looks like it's probably going to be in it because, as Doc is pointing out here, Virginia Tech is going to be in the DMV a whole lot now as well with James Franklin being hired there. Great point by you. Okay, Philip says it is better. Thank you, Philip. So we'll do that for this episode and try to figure out what it is for next episode to get that right. But overall, like I don't think the DMV has a lot of talent. Don't get me wrong. I don't think it has enough talent to supply Penn State, Maryland, Virginia Tech, Ohio State goes in there a little bit. I wouldn't say that's like one of their main areas. They're kind of going over to Jersey now a little bit more than they are the DMV. So I do think it's really, really important for Maryland to, number one, lock down that area. They have enough talent in that area to really produce an excellent football team. But Mike Locksley is still going to have to go outside of that area and go acquire more talent. He's going to have to continue to find talent where it is, and he's going to have to continue to pay his players. So whatever happens moving forward, sounds like Sidney Stewart's going to get paid, sounds like Malik Washington's going to get paid, but he has to find a way to also pay these incoming recruits because it sounds like they made the change. Let's pay the new players that are coming in over the older ones. That's great. But now you got to continue to produce and fundraise so that way you can continue to get the guys in like Zion Ely, also get the transfer portal guys in. And that's where it really comes into play with Maryland is like they're going to be able to acquire talent, but do they have the management to continue to get that talent moving forward?
Yeah, good points. And I think, again, it's the new way of thinking about NIL transfer portal is if you can get at good core and raise a lot of money, you can really set yourself up well for the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And at the end of the day, like that's what's needed more than anything is the next 2 to 3 years because Mike Locksley, if he wants to stick around, this next year has to go well. He can't just win in September. You can't go 4-0 in August and September, and that be fine and dandy. You're gonna have to start winning games in October. You're gonna have to start winning games in November if he wants to stick around. Malik Washington is going to be a huge piece to help make that happen. Obviously, Zion Ely needs to get on the field early, and you need to continue to have, Sidney Stewart, Zahir Mathis, all those guys, and Bryce Jenkins as well. I mean, Bryce Jenkins was a guy in the middle of that defensive line, young. I believe he was a true freshman. I don't think he was a redshirt. I believe he was a true freshman this season, and he performed really well as well. So continue on with those guys, and also, I mean, there's other guys in that team too. I don't need to list all of them, but just continue to build that up, continue to put that forward. Any final thoughts on Maryland, Zach?
Zahir Mathis was the guy I was thinking about. So thanks for making sure I don't have to think about it at 1 a.m.
There you go. Let's see.
I will say, we joke about the September surge and then the October swoon for like Mike Locksley. The schedule dates aren't out there yet in terms of the schedule, but you look at who they play next year, Hampton at UConn, which is it's not as much of a gimme as people might want to think it is. Virginia Tech at home, under Franklin, that's a tougher game now all of a sudden. Illinois, Penn State, Rutgers, UCLA, Wisconsin at home, at Nebraska, at Ohio State, at Purdue, at USC. So like certainly some winnable games there, but quite a few 50-50 games and not a lot of games where I'm like thinking Maryland has much of a shot, at USC, at Ohio State. Those two, I'm like, oh, no way. But like, there are some winnable games on this schedule and there are some toss-ups. So, I mean, this could be the bowl game year for Locksley.
Yeah. I mean, UConn did, they are getting a new head coach. Their head coach moved on. But it is at UConn. So still, difficult there with, I'm sure, some talent being left over. They might go in the portal. Who knows? We'll see. And the Virginia Tech, how funny would it be if Mike Locksley beats James Franklin?
James Franklin's fired at Virginia Tech after 2 games. No, they won't fire him for that. They won't fire him that quickly.
I would love that though. I think that'd be hilarious if that happened. But yeah, I mean, this is really kind of what happened to Rutgers last year. Rutgers was supposed to have their year where they won 7 or 8, 9, possibly 9 games, and they got riddled with injuries, and so they didn't do that. Now this season they go 5-7. They reject a bowl game, and a lot of people are having questions about Greg Schiano. The difference is Mike Locksley didn't even get to 6 wins this season. He went 4-8, and he's on the hot seat, and he's going to have to perform with an even tougher schedule this year. I mean, it's not the worst home game stretch in the world. You get Rutgers, UCLA. Who knows what Wisconsin's going to be? You're going to get them at home. So there's 3, winnable games at home, and then you go on the road at Purdue. Might be winnable, but I think Barry Odom's going to have those guys playing a whole lot better next year. So I mean, you have some opportunities there, but it's a tough out of conference with at UConn and Virginia Tech, which, by the way, why are we playing at UConn? Why? Big Ten teams, please have some self respect. Do not play group of 5 teams away.
It's almost like Maryland thinks of itself as equal to a group of 6 teams at times. And it's like, please don't. You're a Big Ten team. Act like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Northwestern. I mean, Tulane is a better team, so I understand that a little bit more, but still, yeah, I don't get it. Anyway, any final thoughts on Maryland before we move on, Zach? Okay. All right, we will move on to USC as Waymond Jordan is returning next season for USC. A lot of good news there as Waymond Jordan comes back, especially with King Miller coming back, most likely. I don't see why he would leave. He got his chance, walk on there and everything to stay. But he's going to come back this year, and he was really, really good for USC before he got injured. Eli Sanders got injured as well. King Miller stepped up. I think this could be a sneaky one of the best duo running backs in the Big Ten next year, Zach. I think Waymond Jordan was really, really impressive. Obviously, we were high on him coming out of JUCO to the Big Ten with his yards per carry and stuff like that. He did everything he needed to do to produce at USC. Just had that injury, and unfortunately, his season got cut short. But he had a really good year, and I think this is going to continue to be good for USC. And I think it's going to continue to give Lincoln Riley confidence that he doesn't have to put everything on Jada Mayava, especially with losing really good receivers like Makai Lemon this next year. And I believe Jacoby Lane is moving on as well. I don't think he has any more eligibility left. I'll double check that. But I mean, I think this is huge for USC to have 2 guys in the backfield they know they can rely on next season, as they're losing 2 guys, that wide receiver that they relied on all season to make that happen. Zach, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of took the words right out of my mouth, because Jaden Mayava has been great in the passing game, and King Miller was a welcome surprise. But this is supposed to be Waymond Jordan's job, right? Him and Eli Sanders, and they both get hurt. What's the old adage in the Big Ten? You need a pair and a spare. Well, they didn't really have a pair and a spare after the Michigan game. So to have a fully stocked backfield again, and I think where you can rely on both these guys. I mean, both of them over 6.5 yards per carry. Now, granted, Waymond Jordan didn't play a lot of stiff competition because his last game, I believe, was against Michigan. But if he's there with King Miller, you really have more options where you can run, you can really pound the rock, you can do some stuff out of the backfield, and you give that receiver room time to gel with their quarterback. It's great. I think it's a great pickup. Again, Waymond Jordan was very good for the Trojans in the games that he played. And, I think it was 576 yards, 88 carries. So 6.5 yards per carry, 5 touchdowns. That's in 6 games. So he's averaging 96 yards per game on the ground. So really, really good player. And I agree with you. I think it would help. It would really help USC, especially as they transition, hopefully, to that upper echelon, to have a sturdy running game that they can depend on, especially as they need to grind out games.
Yeah, could not agree more. I will say on Jacoby Lane, I was halfway right on that. So he is a junior, and he is going to most likely leave, but there is a possibility he could come back because he was getting like first round love in September, October, and a little bit into November, but really ever since like midway through November, he's not really getting as much first round love. So probably a day 2 pick. We'll see kind of in that Denzel Boston area a little bit. I think Denzel Boston might be thought of a little bit more, but we'll have to see what happens and what his decision might be. So he can come back, but I would say a guy that's projected that high most likely is leaving, but we'll see. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you on USC, Waymond Jordan, everything. I can't think of off the top of my head a better running back duo that's coming back next year. Maybe Bo Jackson and Isaiah West for Ohio State, but they were still young, and we really didn't see a whole lot of Isaiah West this year. Penn State's losing both their running backs. UCLA, who knows? Wisconsin, they're going to bring back some of their young guys
Is
most likely, but they weren't anything spectacular.
is Michigan? I mean, Justice Haynes, is he gone or is he back?
I would assume Justice Haynes is gone. I
Okay.
mean, well, no, we don't know for sure, but I would assume he's gone. Jordan Marshall, he'll be there, but who knows who his running mate is back there. Iowa's going to have good running backs as usual. Jason's saying in the chat that it sounds like Aiden Lawfrey for Illinois could go to Iowa. I like Aiden Lawfrey, but I don't think Aiden Lawfrey this season was on Waymond Jordan or King Miller's level personally. Doesn't mean he couldn't be next season. I'm trying to think is there anybody else that I'm missing duo wise? I mean, Minnesota, if Darius Taylor comes back and they get somebody good, but we don't know if Darius Taylor's going to come back or not. You're muted, Zach.
Yeah, I don't know about. I am just going back to Michigan real quick. It does seem like they are working to retain Justice Haynes, but that article was written by Mason Brew before everything went down with Sharon Moore. So at least before the firing, there was a lot of thought that Haynes would actually be back next year.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if that's the case, then yeah, that's definitely one that's going to rival them for sure with Justice Haynes and Jordan Marshall. But we'll have to see. So, any other thoughts on this USC duo here, Zach?
I mean, I'll just say this: it's positioning them to make a playoff run next year. I mean, it's not the only piece that they need. They obviously need some of their young receivers to step up, maybe get a receiver in the transfer portal. But I really like, we've been saying it, like we didn't love where USC was as a program when they came into the Big Ten. Everybody thought we were crazy, and then they went 7-6. But we have both been on the train saying we think USC is positioned to grow and improve. Part of that's been the defense under Danton Lynn. But I think Lincoln Riley is learning how to be a coach in the Big Ten as well. And so this is a big piece of that, is learning to really trust your running game and to be physical. So I really like that Waymond Jordan's coming back. I think it's huge.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Do want to remind you guys, like and subscribe. We continue to remind you guys to do that, and you guys always come through when we do that, so we appreciate it. Question from AJ says, "Hi JR and Zach, it's been a while. Say, what are your thoughts on Drew Mestemaker ending up on the move from North Texas to IU? I know that was rumored a little bit, but did that come for sure? AJ, I haven't seen that for sure, but maybe something happened today. I was at a kids program watching my daughter all day, so if I may have missed it, I apologize, but you know who Drew Mestemaker is, right, Zach? Yeah.
Yeah,
So I mean,
I was just looking up to see what's out there. But I'll see if I can find something.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything for sure, but yeah, I mean, if he came to IU, that would be obviously a huge pickup. He was fantastic for North Texas this season. He did run into a little bit of trouble, against Tulane in that final game of the season and stuff, but I wouldn't put everything on him for that. North Texas is still a team that, Eric Morris had them much, much better, but there was nothing for sure yet. So, says there is one IU reporting OSU and IU are the teams to watch. Oh, so Oklahoma State and IU. I mean, if I had the choice between Oklahoma State and IU, I'm going to IU every single time. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. I also just saw that same report, SW Indiana. He also, just by the way, this Drew Mestemaker won the Burlsworth Trophy. Best player who started their career as a walk-on, had 4,129 passing yards, which led FBS. His 31 passing touchdowns tied for second in FBS. So like the dude can play, and like North Texas was really good this year. So
what I need to know is, can he give speeches like Fernando Mendoza?
Well, listen, not many people can give the caliber of speech that one Fernando Mendoza can give. So I think that might be, let's just get him to IU first.
I am all about Drew Mestemaker to IU if that happens. I also am all about Fernando Mendoza sticking around for a little bit, not to show him how to throw a football, but to instruct him on how to give post-game interviews and how to give speeches as well. So we'll have to do a video or something on that at some point. But yes, our short thoughts are that would be tremendous news for Indiana and tremendous news for Drew Mestemaker, because I think that Kirk Cinetti and his staff, Mike Shanahan and those boys, would turn him into an NFL quarterback for sure. So
from never starting in high school, could you imagine if he goes from that to being a first round NFL pick?
I mean, that's the IU way that Fernando Mendoza was talking about, right? Bunch of misfits, guys that were never really wanted coming together. I think we can get the same speech from Drew Mestemaker for sure. So. All right, let's move on. Two more topics left here tonight. One of the big topics, Michigan's head coaching rumors and some updates on what's going on. So if you haven't been following the Michigan saga, I assume most people have at this point, but essentially, Kalen DeBoer put out a statement, or at least a statement was made on social media. Who knows if he put it out yesterday and gave it to him and it was put out today. Who knows? But a statement was posted on social media today by Kalen DeBoer, essentially saying that he is not leaving Alabama. He kind of gave us the same thing that Kenny Dillingham did, where he said he's not spoken to Michigan. He has no interest or anything like that. And things are kind of falling apart here for some of the Michigan head coaching search stuff, because you had, national people saying like Kenny Dillingham to Michigan, like this is going to happen, or like very close to happening. It doesn't happen. Well, you still have Kalen DeBoer and he doesn't like Alabama. Doesn't look like that's going to happen. I don't know. I don't think you become the coach, the caliber of Kalen DeBoer, if you run whenever, the going gets tough with a fan base. That's just me personally, but I don't know. I'm not going to put that on every single person because I don't know the guy personally, but that would be my thought with him. And then we talked about it a little bit last night, but Jedd Fisch, seems like kind of the top target right now for Michigan, but he said before the bowl game that he expects to be at Washington next season. Now, everybody's going to pick apart that, well, he expects to, but does that mean he hasn't accepted the job yet, but he's going to, yada, yada, yada. And yeah, coaches lie, and some coaches do lie, some coaches don't. I don't know if this is, we'll get to the other coaching candidates in just a second, Zach, but I want your thoughts on this. I feel like in today's day and age, coaches are more truthful, and coaches, mean what they say more nowadays than they did before, because I don't think players want to play for a liar and a guy that doesn't use his words, not use his words, who doesn't honor his words that he says. Like, to me, in today's day and age in coaching, I'm not trying to say there aren't liars out there. Of course there are liars out there, but I don't think as many coaches are going to get up on a podium and say, yeah, I'm staying at this school, and then bolt 2 days later and go to a different school. I'm not saying Jedd Fisch won't, but I just don't think it's as prevalent today as it was 10, 15 years ago. What are your thoughts?
Well, I might put it maybe a different spin on it. There's a way that you leave a job where I think you maintain relationships, and there's a way that you leave a job that burns bridges. Exhibit A, Lane Kiffin. Like, Lane Kiffin didn't lie, but he was a total, well, I don't know what to call him, but he was not above board in the way he did that. And so there's more than one way to break trust and burn bridges. And I think that I have had concerns about Jedd Fisch because of how he left Arizona. Now, people left Arizona and followed him to Washington, so they clearly appreciated him as a coach. But that has always been my concern when Washington hired Jedd Fisch, was how quickly does he try to parlay this into the Florida job? That being said, and we're not going to talk about the quality of the Michigan job right now, but I think there is a big question of how much better of a job is a rival Big Ten program right now that has been mired in controversy for the past 4 years. Like, I think that is a real consideration, but I would not put it past Jedd Fisch to jump at another opportunity, even if he said that he's not.
Yeah, I'm not trying to say it's like a across the board thing, but I think a lot of fans have that mentality of like, well, coaches' words don't mean anything. And while I agree that was kind of the thing 5, 10, 15 years ago, I don't think it's as big of a thing nowadays, especially with how many coaches we have that are like going to their alumni and trying to stay at their alumni, right? Clark Lee, Brent Key, Jeff Brom, Kenny Dillingham, a bunch of guys who are alumni of their school coaching at that school. I think it's harder to pull some of these guys away, and that's why I think thank you, Dorian, for reposting the stream. Thanks for bringing that up, Zach. Appreciate it. And anybody else that's watching on X, if you would repost the stream, we would greatly appreciate it. Anybody who's watching on YouTube, please do like, subscribe. We appreciate that as well. And all the people in the chat who are saying great show and just got here, we appreciate all of you. Unfortunately, can't bring all of you up on the screen, but we appreciate all of you. Some other candidates who have come up in various articles and have kind of been rumored behind the scenes, and at this point, I would say don't believe anybody who talks about the Michigan job at this point, because I don't think anybody knows anything. I think, we could throw out a name and he could be just as likely as some other names at this point. Josh Pate was just saying within the hour, I think Donald was in here saying that, Dillingham is still a thing. I don't know how that's the case after he just, is levying for an extension and everything else and seemingly gets the extension, but whatever. Josh Pate's pretty well connected, so who knows? But some other names that have been kind of thrown out there are Tommy Rees, Kyle Whittingham, Jeff Brom, and Jesse Minter. Do any of those perk your interest, Zach?
Jeff Brom's not leaving Louisville.
I don't think he is either.
And Kyle Whittingham just retired.
Well, he didn't retire. He left Utah. I don't think I ever saw retire. Did you see retire?
I thought it was a retirement.
I read an article from one of the insider guys at Utah that was like, this doesn't necessarily mean he's leaving. Like he's leaving coaching.
Okay. Interesting.
So,
do we know why he stepped down?
I mean, it could have been a school wants him to step down. They're just ready to get to the new coach type of thing. It could mean, there could be a variety of reasons. I mean, I'm not trying to wish this on him, obviously, but there could be some health stuff that, it's just not good for him to have that level of stress anymore. Who knows? I mean, there's all kinds of stuff it could be, but no, there wasn't really anything. Everything I see says step down. I don't see anything about retirement.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. He's coaching the bowl game though. So
yes,
that to me, I feel like
Utah's bowl game,
December 31st.
Yeah, that wouldn't work to hire him.
Yeah,
unless I hire him before the bowl game.
Yeah, so I mean, Tommy Rees feels like it feels a bit premature for Tommy Rees. If I'm just being completely honest, I'm trying to remember his coaching. He's the offensive coordinator for the Cleveland Browns. They stink. I mean,
they need a quarterback is what they need.
Yeah. Well, they need to blow everything up at the Browns, but
they need to blow everything up at Michigan too. So a lot in common.
Yeah, but
Bryce Underwood, not Bryce Underwood in the roster though. You don't need to blow that up.
Don't do that. Don't do that. But Tommy Rees, I feel like if you get Tommy Rees, that's a swing and a miss. You said it. Jake Butt said it. Someone referenced Jake Butt saying it. To me, it's Biff Poggi or bust at this point. I shouldn't say bust, but it's Biff Poggi for a year to get ahead of the next coaching cycle, because the names that are out there, aside from Jedd Fisch, would be an hire. No offense to Jedd Fisch, but he's been fine at Washington. he hasn't been like all world makes you think that he's going to upgrade the program or like at the very least keep the program running where it has been. And Jeff Brom's not leaving. I don't know about Kyle Whittingham. Like that, if he's still willing to coach, like maybe that's the right hire, but he's the only one out of that list. And Jesse Minter, my goodness, no. Get Harbaugh's influence away from this job. Just get it as far away, because otherwise you're going to keep having these issues and these questions about what's happened here the past 4 years. You do not want that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I don't even think you should hire Jed Fish because of the Harbaugh stuff. Like I like Jed Fish as a coach. I think Jed Fish is a really good coach. I think he has a lot of connections. I think he's always going to hire a really good staff. Like I think there's a lot of positives about Jed Fish, but to me, anybody that was there when Jim Harbaugh was there, do not hire them. I mean, and I know that's kind of being really selective for Michigan right now. And I mean, we just talked about it in the last episode. I don't think Michigan has the, availability to be selective at this point. I don't know if that job is regarded as highly as some Michigan fans think it is, unfortunately for them. So I think a guy like Kyle Whittingham is probably one of your best choices, but I'm with you, man. If I'm Michigan, I ride with Biff Poggi this next season. The players love him. Bryce Underwood really likes him. I think he'll stick around if Biff Poggi is there. And honestly, like I know he's kind of a goofball to the media and stuff, but he's not a goofball. Like Biff is a really good coach. I know it didn't work out for him at Charlotte, but he was a really good coach in high school when he had all the talent. And at Charlotte, he didn't have all the talent. In high school, when he did have all the talent, because he was paying players, and he said that himself. That's not me saying that. Now you can pay the players in college. You can get really good talent around you. I think Biff can run a really good program, and I think you can keep him stable for a year.
Yeah, and just PSU 2024. Thanks for getting it, putting it in the chat. I think Jesse Minter is a really good young coach. So the comments that we're making about Minter has nothing to do with his coaching acumen and everything to do with just you don't want to associate with this mess anymore. Just, but I think to your point. I think a lot of people are not recognizing that it might be better for short-term pain for long-term gain. And so that was I'm going to go back to 2011, go back to my Buckeye roots. Luke Fickell was not qualified to be the head coach of Ohio State, but that landed you Urban Meyer because it got you ahead of the coaching cycle. So if you want to just have a good coach, like a mediocre to good coach right now, okay, go ahead and find the next best name. Brian Kelly, right? Go get Brian Kelly. Don't do that. Please, Michigan, don't do that. Maybe Michigan do that. Don't do it.
But you and Brian, the Zach and Brian Kelly saga has been truly one of the most entertaining parts about this. That's all I have to say. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Don't get him out of here. Anyway, but if you want to land the big fish that you think you can get, stabilize a year and then get ahead of the coaching cycle.
Yeah, no, I agree. And Bobby Mack with the super chat. Appreciate the $2, Bobby Mack. He says, when do you think the team up north, talking about Michigan, fires the athletic director? I personally think that's kind of an issue with this whole thing too, is like nobody wants to be hired by a search firm just for the athletic director to get fired later on, because what happens when a new athletic director comes in? They want to get their own guy, right? It's happening right now with Jim Smith at Maryland. It happens all the time with athletic directors. When they come in, they don't necessarily want to keep around the old guy. They want to get their new guy, the guy that's their hire, because the head coach is a reflection on them. Now, Ward Manuel, I don't know how he still has a job. The Michigan fans hate him. Everybody else doesn't like him. Like I don't see anybody vying for Ward Manuel other than Dusty May at this point. And Dusty May basically hired himself at Michigan. So when people say when people say, oh, well, Ward Manuel hired Dusty May, it's like Dusty May walked into the building and said, "Hi, I'm the best coach on the market, and I would like to be your head coach. Hire me, please." That's like Girl Scout cookies bringing you 10 boxes of Thin Mints and putting it on your porch, and then you taking it inside and saying, "Honey, look at all the Thin Mints I bought." You didn't buy them. They just set them on your porch for you, and you brought them inside. That's what happened with Dusty May here. He got set on Michigan's porch. Ward Manuel walked in, and the guy, "Look, guys, look who I hired." Ward Manuel didn't do it. Dusty May basically hired himself because he wanted to be there. Anyway, probably a bad analogy with the Thin Mints and stuff. I don't even like Thin Mints. I'm more of a Samoa guy. What kind of cookies do you use, Zach?
Yeah, Samoas or tagalongs. Those are okay. Yeah.
My wife likes the lemon ones. She's insane. I might not take her to Disney.
Did you just say that? Never mind.
Well, she doesn't watch this show. She has no idea what I say on here. So
we're gonna edit that out.
We're not.
Post.
No.
Okay.
Believe in it.
I'm just.
Her brothers listen to this show. They'll probably agree with me.
I'm gonna pray for you right now, or after the show.
Thank you.
But in all seriousness.
But can you not agree? The lemon cookies. Who eats the lemon cookies?
Okay, I agree with you. But let's get back to Ward Manuel for a minute. Who is a lemon?
He is a lemon cookie. Yes. Sorry. Go
ahead. For Michigan's sake, I hope that the investigation is short. But knowing how they have drugged their feet on everything else, I don't know what to set the over-under on for how long Ward Manuel stays. But I think that is a contributing factor to why I say Biff Poggi is the best answer for next year, because it's stability and a bridge to what is most likely going to be a whole reset in the athletic department. So I think that is honestly, I think that's a big deal. I want to get to this comment real quick, and then I don't know how much longer you want to stay on this. PSU 2024 given some really good fodder for us to talk about. He made the comparison that Biff Poggi to Michigan is Terry Smith to PSU in certain ways. And I love how you said in certain ways, because they are very similar in terms of good figures, I think beloved by certain players or a number of players, but the contexts are radically different. And so it's important to distinguish that, because I think for Penn State, if they hired Terry Smith, that would have been a disaster. And not because Terry Smith's not a good guy, and I didn't want Terry Smith to stay at Penn State, but because you fired a decent to good head coach in James Franklin with national championship aspirations. And you basically are saying, we've got to get somebody better. And if all you do is end up with the interim guy, it's like, what did we just do? Biff Poggi, like this situation, Sharon Moore was fired because they had to fire him. Point blank, for moral issues. It was not a performance issue. And so that is the contextual issue in this that is radically different between Penn State and Michigan. Penn State had to get somebody who was a slam dunk. Michigan, they've just got to move on and heal. And that's why people are not seeing it from that perspective, and they need to.
Yeah, and I think Biff Poggi is the one that can do that for you. I completely agree with PSU 2024 that I don't think Biff Poggi is just your normal interim head coach on the staff or anything like that. He didn't go to Michigan. I don't think he did. But he is basically regarded as somebody like that, like Terry Smith is from Penn State. But yeah, so I don't have anything else in the Michigan stuff unless you do, Zach. So I think we lost viewers because they are fans of the lemon cookies. Apparently, I didn't realize this. I didn't realize we had so many lemon cookie fans.
Do you realize you just called all those lemon cookie people insane?
Well, I didn't know. I called my wife insane.
You did it again.
No, I just backed up what I said. But Dave says he's leaving the show. Dave, please comment again so we know that you didn't leave the show because of the lemon cookie comment. I take it back. I'll take back the lemon cookie comment so that Dave doesn't leave the show. So, this is Chris.
Oh.
I hate that it's giving us the usernames now. We had everybody's names memorized. We knew everybody in the chat, and it was going great. And then They had to do the usernames now.
I'm sorry, Chris. You're the man.
Chris is great. Chris is great.
Yeah.
Chris, we'll have to. I'm not rooting for this, but we'll have to get another head coaching search or something going on so we can bring you on the show again. Not one for Penn State, somewhere else. What are you laughing at, Zach? Well, what's she gonna do with it? Hold it against me. Anthony is also a Lemon Cookie fan. We need to start in the chat. Zach, talk about how people should like the show really fast while I start a poll.
Yeah, definitely like the show. Like it even if you are a Lemon Cookie fan, because we talk way more about football than we do about our bad cookie preferences. So like, subscribe, definitely check us out. Sunday nights, Tuesday nights, hang out with our man Jeff. Thursday nights, he is the man, and he's been bringing it every Thursday. So make sure you check him out Thursday night with Big Jeff.
Did you say our bad lemon cookie takes? Or our bad cookie takes?
I did. I said bad lemon cookie takes. I'm trying to pander to our fans and to our viewers.
Don't even back me up. Pander to the fans instead of back up your co-host. All right, are you a lemon cookie fan? Yes or no?
I don't think they're terrible. I just don't think I'm not. Here's the thing. I'm not paying $12 for a box of 15 lemon cookies. That's my issue. I can barely stomach doing that for Samoas.
Okay. But mostly, oh my gosh, it keeps going back and forth. I think we might have more lemon cookie fans. I don't know. I've just insulted most of the audience. My apologies. Need a cookie tournament. I agree, Philip. I agree. That's 50-50. You get 12 votes. 50. Shoot.
Should we do a coaches tournament where each coach is a cookie, and then we have to determine who the best coach is?
Yeah.
Okay. DK.
John is not happy with our take on Biff Poggi being named the head coach. Makes zero sense. What are his strengths other than the players like him? I feel like we've talked about other than the players like him. The players like him, and so they're going to come back. And right now, the most important thing with Michigan being the youngest roster in the Big Ten and winning 9 games this season is bringing back as much of that talent as you possibly can. They played their best football in all season when Biff Poggi was there. He was an excellent high school football coach. He knows how to pay players and utilize NIL. He is a stable force for the program right now, and he's a great one-year interim that allows you to be able to fire Ward Manuel, bring in a new athletic director, and be able to hire a head coach that he can jive with more. So, John, if you disagree, that's fine. I'm not trying to sway you, but I do think we pointed out more than just the players like him in the chat there.
And we would not be saying Biff Poggi if it weren't so late in the cycle and it wasn't because of a scandal. Like, those are important data points in this. Like, I don't know who else you're going to get where you're like, that's a slam dunk. But like, even Jed Fish, for instance, if you get Jed Fish, you're stuck with him for a few years to see if he can make it work. And then what if you miss out on like the next up and coming coach that you really want to get? Like, it's about context. It's not just about getting the best coach. Like, do you really want to be stuck with Brian Kelly for 3 years?
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm going to put out another video on Michigan later on. There was a person who is an insider and award-winning journalist who came out with some more Michigan stuff that I'll do a video on my own a little bit. I might do it tonight. I might do it tomorrow morning. We'll see. But I'll put out some of that stuff because there might be more to this Michigan stuff than we don't realize, and some of that's going to add to the Biff Poggi stuff as well. So, obviously, not everybody has to agree with everything we say on here. I just wanted to point out that we had more reasoning than that. Thank you for being here, John, and everybody else. All right, Zach, we ready for our last topic here? All right,
let's do it.
The Penn State coaching staff is starting to get filled more and more. Things are looking up for the Penn Staters, as it did take them a while to get their head coach, but now they're cooking, Zach. The Penn State coaching staff, obviously Matt Campbell in as James Franklin is out. Terry Smith is sticking around, most likely going to be an associate head coach, an assistant head coach type of role. Does not look like he's going to continue to have his cornerbacks role, as Dion Broomfield is coming over with Matt Campbell to coach the secondary, most likely the cornerbacks, maybe the safeties too. We'll see, but I think he's listed as a secondary coach right now, so most likely both. And then the offensive coordinator, Taylor Moser from Iowa State, is coming over with Matt Campbell as well. He's been with Matt Campbell for a long, long time. He was with him as a grad assistant at Toledo, worked his way up to a tight end coach at Iowa State, eventually became the offensive coordinator. So a really long career with Matt Campbell, and really respect the way he's worked his way up. And then Ryan Clanton coming over, replacing Phil Trotwine as the offensive line coach. A number of big names are leaving Penn State. Andy Kotelnicki, he is not being retained, but he does sound like he's staying for the Pinstripe Bowl. Danny O'Brien, the quarterback coach, not being retained. Stan Drayton, the running back coach. Marquise Higgins, the wide receiver coach. Ty Howe, the tight ends coach. Phil Trotwine. Jim Knowles, who has already been hired by Tennessee, and sounds like Anthony Poindexter is not going to be there as well, with Dion Broomfield being the guy. So still a number of open positions. We'll talk about that in a minute. What are your thoughts on the new hires? And then we can talk about guys that were not retained. Zach, go ahead.
I love that Matt Campbell, his first hires are his guys. I mean, who is that reminiscent of that we've just seen? Kurt Signetti. And I'm not saying that it's the same level of hire, that he's going to have the same results, but I think Matt Campbell is bringing in his guys, infusing them with Terry Smith, who knows the heartbeat of that program, getting rid of, honestly, the guys that needed to go. Kotelnicki, who was a great gimmick offensive coordinator.
And I like how you put the gimmick in there before saying great.
Yeah, well, and I don't mean that meanly. It's like that was what he was known for, but like that wasn't going to win Big Ten level football games or Big Ten level championships. And then you get rid of Jim Knowles, who, we saw it at Ohio State. We were seeing it at Penn State. He is a good defensive coordinator, but it takes time, and there are weaknesses in his defensive scheme. And so you get rid of those guys. They haven't hired the defensive coordinator yet, but you're bringing with you guys that you trust, that are loyal. And I think that's not only going to help him as he builds a foundation, it's also going to help him bring some of his guys from Iowa State, the student athletes that I think can level up as the ones that can level up to Penn State.
Yeah, I totally agree. Chris coming in, giving us more information. Chris, always appreciate you being here. Says wide receiver coach Noah Pauley and quarterback coach Jake Waters are joining Penn State staff as well. That's interesting, as Jake Waters coming in, because there was a thought that maybe Trace McSorley would be the quarterback coach, as he is being retained, but he is apparently not going to be the quarterback coach. And there was a thought by some that Terry Smith could maybe coach the wide receivers. I never really thought that made sense, so I always thought that was a weird rumor that was kind of out there. But Noah Pauley will be the wide receiver coach instead. Zach, the guys that are leaving, basically the entire staff. I mean, really the only position coach, coordinator that you're keeping around is Terry Smith. And it sounds like he's not even going to stay around on his position group with them. Do you like this move by Matt Campbell to kind of just clean house? Do you think that he should have kept around a few guys? I mean, to me, Stan Drayton would have been a great guy to keep around, but who knows what Stan Drayton was like and if he fits with, Matt Campbell all that much. But I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing to see a lot of these guys leave, because a lot of these guys, I think, were always kind of Franklin, I don't want to say henchmen, but Franklin dudes that I don't think we're going to be able to institute the structure and the culture of what Matt Campbell is bringing.
Yeah, I don't think it's Stan Drayton has been a great coach, great running backs coach for a long time. And so there are specific coaches where I'm like, I don't know if I would have liked, I think I would have liked to see him stay, but I think to your point, you're trying to build your culture. You're trying to build your foundation. And if anything's going to threaten that or keep it from being built and make players think, oh, we're going to keep certain things from the Franklin era. Like you kind of have to cut ties with it. Terry Smith is an exception because he is just a Penn State guy. He loves this program. He's been there for forever. All the other guys that I wouldn't say this is going to sound terrible, but in a sense, they were mercenaries for hire to get Penn State to the national championship. Okay, great. They don't need to be there anymore. Terry Smith loves that place. So I think it makes perfect sense.
For sure. And I think, Chris is telling us here that Deion Barnes is likely staying. That was one that I was definitely, thinking a lot about, needed to stay, the defensive line coach for Penn State, as the defensive line has been really good for Penn State in the past, the edge rushers and everything else. The interior of the defensive line was not the best this season. I think we've seen it better in years past, but still the defensive line has performed at a really high level in certain games this year, right? They did a really good job against Indiana and that high level competition game. I think they performed pretty well against Iowa, against one of the best offensive lines in the country. And, depending on what happens in the bowl game, I think I have some trust in the defensive line performing well in that one as well, especially against a Clemson team that definitely has talent on their team as well. So overall, I really like what Matt Campbell is doing here. I think that he is bringing in just enough guys. He's not just, assimilating all of his Iowa State staff and bringing them over to Penn State. He's bringing over the right kind of guys. I think Taylor Mauser, however you pronounce his name, I apologize. I think he's a good addition. I think that Ryan Clanton, I listened to Landon Tangwell talk about him as an offensive line coach. No secret, Landon Tangwell is a former offensive lineman for Penn State, so he's going to know what he's talking about. And I really liked what he had to say about Ryan Clanton, bringing in more of a modern style of offensive line coaching, not just kind of doing it by the books the way it was in the past. And I think that's going to be really good for Penn State, especially if they can bring that talent in. Most of these guys don't have the best record in the world, right? Like you look at draft picks and stuff like that. Most of these guys don't have, numbers on numbers of them, but all of them outperformed Iowa State from what they were before Matt Campbell got there. And to me, that's what you have to continue to look at with Matt Campbell. Did he have the best coaching job in the world at Iowa State compared to everybody else? No, it wasn't the best compared to everybody else, but compared to what Iowa State was in the past, he had a phenomenal coaching job there for 10 years. And these assistants that he's bringing with them have done a phenomenal job as well in comparison to what Iowa State was before. And I think it's going to continue to help him. I don't really hate that there's not the big splashy hire, right? I think some Penn State fans might be like, okay, we're bringing these guys in. That's good, but we need a splashy hire. I don't think you need a super splashy hire because you trust Matt Campbell. I think that was one of the reasons why Pat Kraft wanted more of these splashy hires of Jim Knowles and Stan Drayton and some of these guys on James Franklin's staff. Because I don't know if Pat Kraft trusted James Franklin to make all these assistant coach hires. Matt Campbell's a vet. Matt Campbell has been around. He's going to be able to work guys up in his system, develop them as staff members, and he also has enough connections to be able to go out and say, yeah, I want that guy, and be able to make good hires, and I trust Matt Campbell to do that.
Yeah, and did you mention that Dan Connor and Deion Barnes are former Penn State players?
I mentioned Deion Barnes. I don't think I mentioned they're former Penn State players. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was going to say, yeah, Chris put it in the chat that Dan Connor and Deion Barnes, linebacker and defensive line coach, are probably going to stay. So again, more connections to Penn State, which I think, again, going back to our Ohio State roots, what has Ohio State been doing? They've gotten young, up-and-coming coaches that are former Ohio State players, Brian Hartline, James Laurinaitis, who are becoming stars in the profession, but they love their school. They're willing to stick around for a little bit. Hartline probably stuck around way more than he should have until he finally got the USF job. But I think to your point, and I think we're seeing this as a trend in coaching, is it's less about getting the best name and more about who you trust and building continuity on your staff. We're seeing it at Indiana. Like that staff has been together for a long time. And it's the best staff in America right now. Ryan Day, when he went and hired Matt Patricia, like right now where everybody's praising it, nobody praised it when they hired Matt Patricia. Everybody was like, wait a minute, what? But he felt like he could trust him, and he's really fit in with the staff. We're seeing that, I think, all over. And I think that's becoming more and more the trend of successful coaches. I mean, we just talked about Jim Harbaugh. You know, we can talk about how nefarious things were, but like Jim Harbaugh had his guys, and he kept them around. He kept the same types of guys, and that led them to a lot of success. So I just think there's a wisdom in what Matt Campbell is doing, in that it's less about splashy hires and more about who are guys that will work, that will be effective, and that I can trust. Well, it's guys that I've already worked with.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. We'll look at some of the front office stuff here in just a second, but Dave has a very important question, and he gave us a super chat, so we want to bring it up. $2 super chat. Thank you, Dave. Says, who is better, Lemon Cookie fans or SEC fans? I can, in fact, say I would rather be married to a Lemon Cookie fan than an SEC fan. My wife is an Indiana fan, so that's good. But could not be married to an SEC fan. Zach, is that a no-go for you?
Yeah, it's I don't know if it's a no-go, but it would definitely be a constant source of conflict.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would be an
that
issue
that I don't have to worry about.
Yeah, it'd be an issue at the wedding trying to write your vows. Like, I vow to always love you, but then in parentheses you're like, not the SEC, right?
We must live in separate houses on Saturdays in the fall.
Yeah, boy, that's really gonna get tough. All right, last thing, and we don't need to mention all the front office hires by name because most people don't know all the front office hires, but I will say I am very thankful that Matt Campbell is going out and making front office hires. He's getting an actual general manager. He's getting an assistant general manager who has been around the block. He was at Ohio State. He was player personnel at Cincinnati. He's making all of these hires behind the scenes that are not going to get a whole lot of love, but they are going to free Matt Campbell up to be all about ball. And that was one of the biggest issues with James Franklin, is he was not all about ball. He was about ball and he was about money, and he got himself way too close to the money. And I think that impacted some of his decision making and who he played and who he didn't play. So for me, I love that Matt Campbell is bringing in these front office guys. I think it's going to be huge for the team. I think it's going to be huge for the development of Penn State. And overall, I think that, this is just one more way that even if Matt Campbell doesn't go out and win the Big Ten in the first 2 or 3 years, you can feel much more comfortable with him as your head coach, because I think he's going to manage NIL better. He's going to have people that are actually in charge of managing NIL and not try to, be somebody who has a stranglehold on everything and say, I have to be the one to take care of all this and do all these things, because that just doesn't seem to be the way Matt Campbell is. And I think, the perception right now of Penn State is that they don't have good NIL. And I don't think that's true. I think Penn State has a lot of money, and I think they have a lot of good NIL. It's just James Franklin, like you heard Chris talk about it, you heard Langdon Tangwell talk about it, you've heard Lions 247, Penn, like On Threes, Penn State talk about it. You've heard all these places talk about it. James Franklin did not want to pay freshmen. In this day and age of college football, you pay the players who play for you. Whether they're a freshman, a sophomore, a junior, a senior, it does not matter. You pay the players who are going to play for you. That's why Bryce Underwood got paid the way he did. That's why Ohio State has freshmen that make more money than some seniors. It's because if they're going to play for you, you need to do your evaluations beforehand, know who's going to be your guys, and not necessarily be stuck to it, but also be willing to, actually know who your guys are going to be, pay them, play them, and you know that moving forward.
Agreed.
And that's where continuity comes in, right? As you brought it up. So,
yep.
All right. Anything else on Penn State?
I'm excited for him. That's my, I'm, if you told me, it's amazing how this program, I feel like, has resurrected from the graveyard to, hey, this team could be pretty good in the next year or two under Matt Campbell. I really believe that.
Can I put you on the spot for a second?
Go for it.
Just complete out of the blue. We don't even know what the Penn State roster is going to be yet. Record next season. What's the record going to be?
I'll go conservative. I'll say 8-4.
That's what I was going to say too. It was 8-4.
Yeah, but their schedule is soft enough next year where you could see a dark horse playoff run.
I do wonder if Matt Campbell needs to get used to the Big Ten at all, and if travel could impact things at all. But yeah, I'm being very conservative too. Seeing 8-4, but I could see him with that schedule going 10-2, 11-1.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and remember, Matt Campbell, like the Big 12. The Big 12 is not a great conference now. But remember, just a couple years ago, they had heavyweights, real heavyweights in that conference. And which is not to say that it was the same level of the Big Ten, but the Big Ten didn't have Oregon, USC, UCLA, or Washington 2 years ago either. But they had Oklahoma, they had Texas, and they were upsetting those teams. And by the way, they've been pretty competitive with Iowa, and not that Iowa is an elite team in the Big Ten, but they know at least some Big Ten football, and they've been able to compete with Big Ten football. So it'll be interesting. I know what you mean. I would bet that he has less of a transition than Lincoln Riley does.
That's a good point. Good point.
Yeah.
All right.
Blue Wolverine, you are the man.
What did he do? I wasn't on the comments.
Yeah, super chat. He just said, gentlemen.
Oh, Blue Wolverine. Always awesome. $5 super chat. Blue Wolverine, I have to apologize. Blue Wolverine gave us a super thanks a couple weeks ago, and I didn't see it. It's like a comment it's like a super chat basically on a video. I didn't see it. I responded to it when I saw it. So Blue Wolverine, I hope you saw that. But thank you very much for doing that. And if anybody sees the show after the fact and you're like, hey, I love this show and I want to let these guys know it, obviously you can always comment down below and let us know that. But if you ever want to do a super thanks, we would greatly appreciate that as well. As Blue Wolverine is always very generous with his time and his money, saying, bringing in here, give us a super chat. Thank you for doing that, Blue Wolverine. So, all right. Zach, that's all we got for tonight. Any final thoughts on anything before we get out of here?
I'd just like to say thank you for always muting my mic when I forget.
It's okay. I can start to hear myself, and that's when I'm like, all right, mute and make it happen. So I'm impressed that I'm able to talk while muting you.
That whole multitasking thing you're learning.
Yeah. Producer, host, lemon cookie hater. Yeah. Which, by the way, do you want to know the results of the lemon cookie survey?
Yes, I do.
50-50.
How many votes?
34.
That's actually more than I expected.
Well, we've got 82 people in here right now. So thank you for all 82 people that are currently watching. We appreciate you all. But wow. Yeah. Oh, somebody just voted 51% lemon cookie. I've lost. It's okay. I'll let my wife know that she won once again.
So before we head out, so like we all know we're trying to get the Rhodes family to Disney. But here's the thing. I got a message from my wife who screenshotted a Instagram post that it is now cheaper to fly to Japan, go to Tokyo Disney, get a hotel, and fly back than go to Disney in Florida.
Konnichiwa. That's all I got to say. I don't even know what that means, but I've heard it before, and I think it's Japanese.
I think it's hello. I think it's hello in Japanese.
Okay, good. I'm glad I didn't say anything offensive by accident. It's back at 50-50. It's back at 50-50.
Oh my gosh.
Oh boy.
That's amazing.
All right, we better. Yes, no is at 51%. We're ending the poll there.
Oh dear.
Let the record show the lemon cookie poll. 51% no. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being with us. We had a lot of fun tonight. As per usual, if you had fun tonight, you can check us out on Tuesday night as Zach and I will come on. We will be previewing the Oregon game. And, you guys liked it last year when we previewed all the playoff games. So I'm not going to promise the most in-depth preview in the world for, the other playoff games. But I will say we will at least talk about them, give our thoughts on those games, and probably won't do like a whole video previewing them, but definitely give our thoughts and predictions on who we think will win. And I'm looking forward to being wrong. But I will not be wrong on at least two of them. I know I'm going to get Oregon and JMU and Tulane and Ole Miss right. The other ones, I have no idea. We'll see.
Tulane's going to upset Ole Miss.
Okay. Kind of like how they did earlier in the season when Ole Miss destroyed them.
It's tough to upset, or it's tough to play the same team twice.
Yeah.
I'm being somewhat facetious, but believe it or not, Doug Maurice did pick Tulane over Ole Miss. That is on record.
I do not know if everybody else saw this or not, but Fight on Natties came in. We have 3 different languages spoken in the Big Ten Huddle live stream today. Fight on Natties saying JR and Zach, hola, amigos. I know what that means. Hello, friends. I took Spanish in high school, so also that's just like normal knowledge. So, all right. Enough talking there. Appreciate everybody being here. Thank you so much for coming in. Check out a video coming out tomorrow, most likely tomorrow morning with some of that Michigan stuff. I'll probably make it tonight. If I don't make it tonight, I'll make it tomorrow morning. And definitely keep you guys up to date on that stuff going on. And Zach and I are going to make a Heisman video too. And I have Eric from the OHIO podcast coming on to make a video with him tomorrow. We're going to talk about the Michigan head coaching candidates, which ones scare him the most as an Ohio State fan. I think it'll be a fun little way to talk about it in a different way. So we're going to have fun with it. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Have a good one. We'll see you next time.